the Ravens made their massive trade for former Raiders edge rusher Maxx Crosby, there's been plenty of commentary about the team's expectations for 2026. On Get Up yesterday, Dan Orlovsky said there are no more excuses for Lamar Jackson after that Crosby trade. Listen.
They are now in a first-year regime going all in Baltimore. And I love Lamar. There ain't no more excuses now. This is all in. The coach, the offense, you got a game record on defense. This is now Baltimore and an ownership group going, you got to go get it done, Lamar. We can't sit around and watch Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen find ways in the playoffs to play high-level football. And so while this trade happens on Friday night and it's minimized, this is all in. This is a desperation move in an organization that's saying, we are on the back end of this window with this MVP quarterback, and we've got to find a way to get it done.
All right, well, Lamar Jackson was up early yesterday because then he went on X and responded to our very own Dio saying, quote, Dan, there has never been excuses for Lamar, though. You see that little emoji as well. So Dan Orlovsky joining us now there with Peter Schrager from Indianapolis. Dan, who is right? Do you think it's you or do you think it's Lamar? There's never been excuses for him.
Well, good morning. I'd say this, Shae. I would never make this about me versus Lamar. I have the most ridiculous amount of respect for Lamar Jackson. Why would I not? You know how stupid it would be for me to be disrespectful to Lamar. And so I've unbelievable admiration, respect, love. He's always been cool to me, which he shouldn't be because he's Lamar. So I've just nothing but unbelievable stuff to say about him. I don't think what I said is wrong. I don't think that I've said this about Josh Allen as well. I was the one last year who said, stop asking the question, does Josh Allen have enough to go get it done? Yes, he does. They're that type of players. Is it fair? No, it's not fair, but that's just their reality. And Lamar knows that as well. And so I don't think what I said is not real or not true. I think Lamar's comment is probably fair as well. He's like, no one ever makes excuses for me, and I often say they're reasons, not excuses. And so, I think what I said is accurate. I don't think there's any dispute of that. And I don't have any, like I said, Lamar Jackson has been nothing but cool to me every time I've talked to him. He has no business in doing that because he's Lamar on me. So this is not me versus Lamar anyway. I love Lamar.
Welcome to First Take. It is a little bit now. Go ahead, Stephen A.
Well, first of all, Dan's so much to learn for Dan Orlovsky, so much to learn. First of all, Dan, you know what? You don't have any reason to be, I ain't gonna say tap dance because I'll never accuse you of that, but you didn't disrespect him. You just let him know that the pressure was gonna be on him. And sure. He was right. Lamar Jackson is right. The pressure is always on him. My issue with what you said, Dan, and where I side with Lamar totally against you in this regard is this. So Maxx Crosby is going to vastly improve their defense to a point where we don't have to be concerned about that defense any longer. He's only one individual. I know how great he is. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's an absolute stud. But they were 30th against the pass. I have concerns collectively about what Baltimore's defense is going to be because this is not the days of Ray Lewis with Ed Reed and the rest of the crew. That's my issue. And so when I look at Lamar Jackson, I expect him, of course, the pressure is going to be on him. He's absolutely right. It always is on him. But I think that he's answered the call. Last year was his first losing season as a quarterback. He lost, 6 of his 11 starts. We expect better from him. I get that part. But no matter what he does, if the Baltimore Ravens don't improve vastly as a defense, it's not going to really matter. And so for me personally, the issue that I took with you is that you're like, Lamar, the time's running out, there's no excuse. Yeah, he's got to do what he's got to do. But the flip side to it is that this is football, man. They got to do what they got to do. You know what? When we say Lamar, it's because we're assuming that the Ravens' defense is going to be what it was known to be for the last couple of decades up until recently. Over the last year or two, they've been a shell of what they once were, so much so that I've joked about Ray Lewis being on, the APB being out for him because he's busy hanging out at Miami Hurricane games because at least they're going to win their football games. He knew damn well the Ravens weren't going to because their defense couldn't stop anybody. So the defense has got to show up. And I think that's the important point to make here. It doesn't matter what Lamar does if the defense doesn't show up and be able to produce the way they used to. That's what I'm saying.
Well, my comment to that would be, yes, I do think that the addition of Maxx Crosby does do that to that defense. Yeah, I think Maxx Crosby is one of the most dominant forces in football. I don't understand how everyone last year, Micah Parsons gets traded. Everyone's like, oh my goodness, Micah Parsons, how he's going to transform this Green Bay defense. And Maxx Crosby, and everyone's like, well, we'll see. Yes, coming off of injury, that's a real thing. But I bank on greatness. And yes, his greatness will impact that defense that much. We can't live in the world, Stephen A. This is where I'm going to push back on you. You just said, well, that defense has got to show up. Yes, we have seen great quarterbacks in our league play awesome in the playoffs. The defense not show up, and on the next day, people be like, quarterback didn't get it done. So let's be encompassing fair.
I disagree with that. But I'm gonna let Peter get in here. But I disagree with that. I think when a quarterback has played spectacularly and their defense didn't get it done, I think we are aware enough to point that out. We've seen Josh Allen give Buffalo a lead with 13 seconds left, and they blew it. We didn't walk away talking about Josh Allen didn't get it. We walked away talking about how Buffalo didn't get it done for him.
Yeah, some people have. Before Peter jumps in, I listen. These quarterbacks, they don't get excuses from a lot of people. Dak Prescott's in that group as well. Jalen Hurts is in that group as well, where it's like, you're that good of a player. You've proven to be that good of a player that you can overcome some deficiencies. I think Lamar's in that group.
Go ahead, Schrager.
It's a time. Yeah, I look at C.J. Stroud and how he played against the Patriots. I look at Justin Herbert and how he played against the Patriots. We go down the list of all these quarterbacks, and until you win one, you're going to deal with the heat. I appreciate Lamar's tweet. I like that he put the little smoking emoji on it. I'm here for it. It makes for good drama. It's good talk. But the truth of the matter is, he's got a first-year play caller in Declan Doyle, who's 29 years old. He's got a first-year head coach in Jesse Minter, who has never coached an NFL game before. He just lost the best center in football, in Tyler Lindenbaum, who is sent over to the Raiders. There are actual obstacles for Lamar beyond just, hey, we got Maxx Crosby, but no one wants to hear it. And that's the shame of it. And that is just the world we're living in. He's right. Dan's right. Like, Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl, and less than 6 months later, we're saying, what's wrong with Jalen Hurts? That's the world we live in.
Yeah.
That is what it is. And then when you rise above, you get the crown like you did with Sam Darnold, and everyone said, okay, he's the man. That was amazing. Sam Darnold, for at least a couple months, you're good in our eyes.
There were moments, though, I feel like the Ravens, maybe not specifically Lamar Jackson, did get the benefit of the doubt, did get excuses. Like, I remember, I think it was 2020 when Derrick Henry ran all over them with the Tennessee Titans. Well, they had a bad run defense. They went in and addressed that. Then we have the drops, the Mark Andrews drop. They had issues with drops in 2019. Okay, well, the receivers are dropping the football. Okay. Well, now all those things seem to be erased outside the center position, because I agree with you, that's going to be a problem for Lamar. So now the pressure falls on the quarterback a little more this season.
But I'm going to push back on both Peter and Dan. Let's look at it right here. Lamar Jackson, 6-7 as a starter, not 5-6, 6-7 as a starter. He played 13 games. He missed 4. He had a back injury. He had a hamstring injury. He had injuries to his knee, his ankle, and a toe ailment. He was not himself last year. I understand that we're going to look at it and we're going to say he's got to step up and produce or whatever. But we also pointed out how the Baltimore Ravens defense ranked 30th against the pass, if I remember. They were just awful, okay? So you look at them and you say to yourself, what you going to do about that? Because the history of the Baltimore Ravens, everything has hung its hat on their defense. When they won a Super Bowl, they won it with Trent Dilfer. They won another Super Bowl, it was with Joe Flacco. It was their defense that was believed to have delivered the goods. And so you got Lamar Jackson over the last 7 years. He hasn't gotten it done. When he's played poor in the postseason, we've pointed it out. But when he's played great, we've pointed that out too, okay? And so now it's like, but the Baltimore Ravens weren't what they used to be. And so I'm looking at it, Peter, and I'm saying to myself, yeah, he's got to play better. You know what? He went from his first 6 starts averaging 31 points a game to 22. Completion percentage went from 70 to 57%. Pass yards per game went from 208 to 186. I'm looking at the total turnovers, 2 in the first 6 games, 8 in his last 7 starts, and a passer rating that went from 127 to 81. Certainly, he can't have that happen again, and Dan is not going to be 1,000% right. But my point is, what if his numbers are what they were for the first 6 starts throughout the entire season?
Yeah, of course.
But your defense stinks up the joint. You know, in the end, that's going to be a problem, particularly with a first-year coach and a first-year offensive coordinator. We're going to look at all of those things and we're going to say, what's up? If Lamar Jackson performs, we'll be able to draw a distinction between him playing well and the defense not, compared to him not playing well at all. We'll be able to pick that up.
Isn't that why they changed coaches, though? Because they were struggling to keep up that same level that they were accustomed to? Go ahead, Dio.
Yeah, no, I agree with your point, Shae. I think, you know, when you listen to Steve Bisciotti, their owner, he just simply says it just felt like it was time, right? So I think that Lamar and Josh are going to be always almost tied to each other, same draft class. They both have had great, I think they're 8 or 9 years into their career at this point. And if we were honest with ourselves and we fast forwarded 5 to 7 years, God forbid, and we look back and neither of them have a Super Bowl title, but they continue to have these great careers, you would sit there bummed out about it because you would want that great career to be capped off with that final Super Bowl trophy. And so that's all it is. Maybe the no excuses is just a term in the moment, but I think it's like it's been this way for 3 years now or so. Both of these guys, their teams and organizations have done just about everything they realistically can to sit there and say, hey, like now it's got to be on you to go get it done.
I'll put the historian hat on. It's, you know, usually Mad Dog's spot here sometimes and Stephen A's as well. But I'll put the historian, like Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. He went early in his second year as a pro, never won. We still look at him as an all-time great. Dan Fouts is a Hall of Famer. Warren Moon's a Hall of Famer. These guys never won Super Bowls. It's a different era. It's a social media era. It's a first take era. There is an expectation that you will rise above. And when you don't, it's unfortunate, but you are going to be looked at to be able to get that crown. And so Lamar and Josh, as much as they don't want the commentary and they might have the smoke emoji, I would think they want that burden. I would think they would want that expectation, because if we don't have that expectation, you're not in that conversation.
Lamar has said to me after, calling Monday Night Football, and that's when I referenced, like, he's been so good to me and nice to me. He has said to me in his own words, I have to win the Super Bowl. And so that's him acknowledging that heavy is the weight that wears the crown.
You got it. That was good. You did. Yeah.
So
I have to
smoking
confess,
emoji.
I have to confess, I'm very impressed with Peter Schrager, because he said during that soliloquy, he said to that during that soliloquy, there's the social media era and stuff like that, and then he said the first take era. That is true. We have established our own era.
Good discourse with a big platform. I'm here for it.
We have established our own era, I must say. Yeah, I like that, Peter.
First
I
take.
didn't use that. I didn't think about that before, but I'm going to think about that right now.